They still haven't made another one yet? Oh, brother. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. And that's not because my eyesight is as fickle as a YouTuber's boxing technique, but because, in the future, all I do is wait for the next 3D Mario game. With each passing Nintendo Direct, I fervently raise my hopes, only to be disappointed every time.
Smart, right.
Oh, another anime Fire Emblem game. Maybe next time. But to pass the time while they make another one, why not go over the games that we have now? So with that, I present... So let's look at the Mario's first outing, with that being Mario 64. Mind the sucky audio in this one, I was really broke.
Oh! When I'm asleep recently, I've been having some straight up wonky dreams. An overweight Italian man taking edibles to beat up a giant turtle? Where am I getting this stuff from? I've also been sleepwalking. Whew. Now what I'm about to tell you, you may have never heard before. I like Mario 64. Where's the light? Huh. What is there to say that hasn't already been said? Nothing. I'm sure people have even already said that. It's a gaming icon to be sure, but not without its flaws. Just like everything else in the 90s. Now, I wasn't alive when the game came out back then. I'm not 40. I only just recently got my hands on it, but you better believe I think it's a groundbreaking game. For the 90s. Yeah, what's new is kinda old and has a horrible camera. But that's not to say it's not a good game. It's still a fantastic game that shaped the entire 3D genre as a whole. But those water controls, man. Still, no matter how much flack I throw at the game, it's legit one of the pillars in gaming history. Never before have we had a true 3D Mario experience. This doesn't count, this is scary looking. 64 was the first to do so many things, and although it wasn't technically the first 3D platformer, 64 did to 3D platforming what my uncle wants to do to America. Revolutionize it. Lock your doors. It's safe to say without 64, 3D games as a whole would look a lot different. Even today, you can see how games take inspiration and build off of 64. Sometimes taking a bit too much inspiration. I can't even tell the difference. Dang clones. But you may say, wasn't 64 the first to do just about everything? And to that, you're right, but being first has its ups and downs. Mainly downs, because get this, it was the first. Not everything was nailed down right. The camera, swimming controls, just about everything feels a bit dated because this thing has gone on a lot of dates. But don't get me wrong, this is one solid game. Everything from the innovative mechanics, minus you, catchy soundtrack, and great pace. I've got a hunch that this thing is called one of the greatest games of all time for a reason. But I can't go on without mentioning the iconic soundtrack. Music to my ears. Literally, every song is near perfect, and even if we do hear some a bit frequently, every track does an excellent job at immersing you into the level. Whoa! Facial hair? Finally! Wait a minute. Ominous music? Low polygon counts? Oh no. No, no, no! Oh, it's just a turtle. Eating a peach! But what has stood the test of time the most has to be the levels. Although I've played these things to death, it's insane how replayable these are. From grassy fields to snowy mountains to snowy mountains, these levels have a lot of variety. For the 90s. Good, just ever since we've been beaten upside the head with the traditional grass, sand, snow, water, and lava levels, the wow factor has worn off a bit. What good are the levels if everything in between is lame? Well, still good, they're great. But who wants some basic level select screen when you can have some good old-fashioned medieval architecture? No, not the thumbscrew torture device, Peach's Castle. It's debated if the hub world was an actual developer choice or was simply just to pad out the runtime. And I personally think it's a bit of both. Seeing that they only had a handful of levels, they needed to make sure people couldn't beat this thing 100% in under 2 hours. What the? But godlike skill aside, the hub has to be one of the most iconic in gaming history. And although I prefer Galaxy's Comet Observatory for the chill vibe, space theme, and soundtrack, Peach's Castle is simply perfection with every room and staircase flowing seamlessly, except for this one. What is this? Now, of course, you can make the argument that it's not all that it's cracked up to be, like how the castle's just a bit unrealistic. And over here we have the... It's more a cool vehicle getting you from level to level, cause in reality, a linear level select is kinda buns. Mario Galaxy 2, sorry I have a bit of a bad cough. Mario Galaxy's 2 level select is buns! But why does a literal time staller matter on how good a game is? Well, when it comes to platforming games like Mario, I'd say simple charm like a level select mechanic is really what elevates each game above the rest. Levels can only be so good, and even 64 has a few stinkers that are the bane of my existence. But they didn't need to make an entire castle with a courtyard, drawbridge, and an MF cannon, but they did, cause it's awesome. Now I can accept, even applaud the implementation of Peach's castle, even if it was just to pad out time. But let's not act like 64 doesn't pull some major shifty stuff just to bump that runtime up. Case in point, that dang boot out system. Yeah. Every time you get a star, it kicks you out of the level just as you were getting those stubby Italian legs going. Imagine all that build up, all that momentum over the past few minutes, just being snatched away like that. Oh, it's the beginning. How did I sleepwalk with a fully inflated mattress? Well, in the spirit of beginnings, I'd say the beginning of 64 is oh so very pretty good. It's doing a whole lot more under the hood than you may realize. Seeing that this was the first 3D Mario and shoot, first 3D game for most people, the beginning is nothing short of perfection. We're flown around the castle in a great establishing shot with music that just gets you excited to repeatedly fall off the sides of these maps. A lot. But at the start, there's nothing to fall off of. In fact, there's no danger at all, unless you don't know how to swim. Once Mario hops out of his honestly confusing method of transportation, you're free to run and jump around for as long as you please. Seriously, take some time to test out your moves, hop in the pool, take a nap. Assuming you're fine with a methed out turtle kidnapping your girlfriend. The developers knew people needed time to get used to these all new controls 3D brought to the table, some of them hardcore sucking, but let you test them out without that darn impeding fear of death. But once you finally decide to enter the castle, you're met with an array of doors. Some with locks, some with stars, some with bigger stars, some with stars with numbers, some with no stars, and Mario's asleep. All presenting one question. What is the logic behind these things? Why would Bowser allow me to progressively work my way up the castle in a great pace just to defeat him? And also guess what's behind the door? As you peek your head into the only unlocked door, you see it. Literally nothing. Well, nothing except for a big old painting of bombs. You know, the usual. But not only had they must have bought the matte black glossy texture deluxe finish on the paintings that make them shimmer, hot damn! What a tragedy. But you can also jump into these things. This entire game really captures that childhood sense of wonder, like, what if I could jump into a painting? How cool would that be? Moving on, after selecting your first star, you're thrown into the first official level. And oh my goodness, has the music gotten old. Okay, I know it was groundbreaking that they could even fit all this music into this tiny cartridge, but good golly, have I heard this song hundreds of times. And although it's honestly just a small gripe due to the fact that I've played this game so much, hint hint, because I like it, I really only mean when you hear it outside of the level. That's right, the track Bomb on Battlefield for the level Bomb on Battlefield is used outside of the level 3 times. So doing some game theory level math, out of the 15 levels, you hear this track 27% of the time. That's a lot. So it sadly just starts to feel old. Like, you better believe I'm bopped with the music, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. But in a vacuum, this is a great piece of music for a great level. Seriously, this is one of the best levels in all of gaming history. As you're cast into this brand new world, the devs assume you haven't spent 10,000 hours playing other platformers, so they make your task rather apparent. You see that huge mountain in the distance?
Scale it.
Along the way, you encounter Goombas, which are looking odd. Do you need to see a doctor? And then we have to pass this big old boy. Well, that's not too bad. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Speeding past that disgrace of nature, you make your way up, all while getting used to the controls, and oh, just a mistake, no biggie. So you're getting used to the controls and learning how to, oh my goodness! So you're getting used to the controls and learning how to master the movement seamlessly, come on! At the top, you come across the first boss of the game, and these are where the game really shines. The first level having a boss? Now that is a good sign. Out of the possible 120 stars, how many bosses are there? 5. What the? Yeah, although there are technically 13 stars to get from bosses, it's just a Bowser fight 3 times, King Boo fight 3 times, and a reskinned Big Bullies. There's only actually 5 unique boss fights that stand out from the rest of the game. And although beating them is pretty easy, they haven't aged nearly as much as the rest of the controls and mechanics. They're still some of the highlights of the entire game for me. But bosses aside, how are the levels? Well, crazy enough, Mario 64 was planned to have a lot more levels than it did. But due to technical constraints, they had to shrink the level count down to 15, and most of them were actually really good. Keyword most of them. So instead of their levels being a one and done like usual, they said, oh, screw it, let's just make a whole new genre of game called Collectathon. Basically collecting multiple stars inside one level. So basically the courses are called levels and the levels are called stars. Confused? Me too. A lot. But if the levels are good, then how are the stars? Well, as a whole, they're okay. You've got some great ones, you've got some okay ones, and you've got some that I've professionally coined as kill me. Let me run you down some of those. Snowman's lost his head in Cool Cool Mountain. Dear God, I put more effort into this than my sleep schedule, and just like that, I only ended up hurt and confused. Blast away the wall in Womp's Fortress. Pretty easy, if you have the internet, which I don't in 1996. You're supposed to fire at a wall randomly, and I hope you got your lucky pants on because it could be anywhere. Anything in Dire Dire Docks, minus the music, this entire level can suck a lemon. The water controls, oh baby, don't even get me started. Anything in Wet Dry World, anything in Rainbow Ride, anything in... Oh, we're done. Gotta watch that blood pressure. But all in all, some of these levels I straight up refuse to play. Rainbow Ride is a sitting simulator, Wet Dry World is a swimming simulator, and Dire Dire Docks is a swimming simulator, with 100-pound weights chained to your feet and a Russian guy kicking you in the balls. Sorry, I got a little personal there. Some of these levels just aren't that good, but that's okay. The thing about Mario 64 is that it threw a lot at the wall and just hoped anything would stick. Luckily, most did. Some didn't. It could have just been an easy platforming game, but they decided to take risks, adding special abilities, secret off-the-wall stars, and open-ended levels. The thing is, most are good, if not a little dated, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Wait, do you hear that? Is that casino music? And it's a bop! Whoa! Yeah, I hate when this happens, but honestly, I can't complain. This is right on topic. Mario 64? DS. My personal favorite 3-word combination right behind good job, son. It just sounds cool. The name is self-explanatory. It's Mario 64. DS. Now, you may have not even known there was a portable remaster for 64, and to that I'd say I wouldn't blame you. 8 whole years and 2 consoles after the original, they decided to release this bad boy to the public, and I'm sure it was nothing but confusion.
Hey kid, you want some Mario 64?
No. I've beaten that more times than I can count. I can only count to 3.
Oh, don't worry, I got something a little more your speed.
When you think of a handheld port, you don't normally think of a mechanical and graphical overhaul, do you? Cause I do, cause that's what they did. For one, they fixed my issue with the original in that there were too few bosses by adding 3 new ones. They also added 30 new stars, which are some of my favorites, reworked some of the older ones, making them actually enjoyable, added a few more courses, and oh yeah, changed the entirety of the gameplay. This time around, we have 4 characters to choose from: Mario, Luigi, a dinosaur, and a convicted felon, each with their own unique power-ups, meaning some stars are only possible using that character, which adds so many layers to the gameplay. But what has to be my absolute favorite change in DS is the beginning again. I know I already said the original was perfect, but this just elevates it somehow even more. You start a Mario game without the head honcho himself. Instead, you're a green lizard. Why? I don't know, but it's cool. It kind of sets up this mystery as to why Mario didn't return. Where is he? And we all know Mario games are known for paying off their plot points, so it should be no surprise we never get an explanation for how they're even trapped in the first place. But what has to be the biggest gripe with DS is that it has the cursed D-pad, meaning you can only go in 8 different directions. Now that is no problem to an experienced player, but with someone who's been playing DS my entire life, it is just a tiny bit of a setback. Now, even with that minor issue, I'll be the first to admit I'm more of a 64 DS kind of guy. A portable Mario experience with more content, better graphics, gambling? Dude, they peaked with this one. But it's easy to mix the two up, you know, with the whole Super, Mario, and 64 parts in there. But these two games are surprisingly different to one another. See, while 64 DS is this cute little Mario game, not much to it, the original 64 is a gosh dang conspiracy. I'll take it. Dude? Whoa! Oh yeah, sorry. Did I hear you say conspiracy? I mean, yeah, but it's about a game, not YouTube related, so I don't know how much you know about it.
Ha! Let me guess. L is real?
Yeah, how'd you know? Talk to me when you got a real conspiracy. Okay. Ever since the game's launch, people have been convinced our main man Luigi was in the game. Their evidence? A low-resolution block of text hiding above the fountain in the courtyard that read something. But the main theory is that it's spelled L is real 2401. People did what they did best and spent an ungodly amount of time trying to find a green plumber in a 24-year-old game. But it's just a wild conspiracy, right? None of this is actually true. Dude, 24 years and 1 month after the game released, it happened. While most people just logged onto Twitter that day and went, huh, L must be a real homie. It was the day everybody had been waiting for. L was real. Kinda, you just cut for time constraints. But that's not to say DS didn't have its own tricks up its sleeves, and by tricks I mean destroying my childhood. See, like every other kid back then, the only thing I cared about was a tall, skinny man. Waluigi! When I was just a small lad, I was 100% convinced he was real and in the game. most likely due to my friend telling me he was 100% real and in the game. The rumor was, once you 100% the game, collecting all 120 stars and invading all the bunny's privacy, you travel to this little dark spot on the side of the castle. Once you hop in, you'd fight PD Piranha Plant and gain access to the second Ouija. Back then, my friend even told me he fought the boss battle! I was lied to my whole life! There was so much mystery and intrigue, theories and speculation, then I got the internet. And nothing's ever been the same. See, where video game rumors back then were all word of mouth and nothing was ever 100% certain, the internet gave us this horrible thing called reality. Wanna know when the next Mario game's coming out? The moon isn't real. Oh god. But that's enough Goomba genocide for me today, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna pack this thing up.
Bye-bye. Hello? Come and play with me.
What?
Come and play with me.
I don't want to.
I said come and play with me, weakling.
But that's not too bad, right? I'm just gonna hop into a level to cool my mind off. That's enough of that. But no matter the Waluigi theories or the uncomfortably talkative Mario, what has to be the most troublesome new inclusion in Mario 64 DS were the mini-games. They seem normal, right? Just fun little additions that are fun to play every now and then? Wrong. Yeah, this game gave me a gambling addiction. But I'll have to win at some point, right? But it was actually pretty cool what they added here. You can access these mini-games through the main menu or even in-game. There you had a lot to choose from. Some easy, some super easy, and some unique. Ah! But I honestly think the additions they made in DS make it the definitive edition of Mario 64. DS. And don't get me wrong, the original laid out a more than solid foundation, but is just a bit too dated for my liking. Of course, I'll still go back and check it out every now and then, but if I want to fill that Mario 64 urge I have every Tuesday, 64DS just seems the right way to go. I mean, they even fixed those horrendous camera controls. I don't know about you, but that was the deal breaker. But in all, Mario 64 is and will always be an incredible game. But I'm just more of a DS kind of guy, due to the upgraded graphics, ability to latch onto walls after a triple jump, thank God, and the all-new content that was added. Well, seems like I made my point. I'm gonna pull a good old-fashioned human and go to sleep. Good night, y'all.
What the f-
Nothing like the original, eh? The quality's still there, but buried under a first attempt and sucky audio. I mean bad camera controls. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that glimpse of Noir Melon, because that's the last time we see any of the melons. Because it's been so long since a 3D Mario, they've sadly moved on. Now let's turn our attention to the next game on the list, with that being Mario Sunshine. And what a hernia this one is.
Thousands of people despise Mario Sunshine, but I've never gotten the hate. It's got Mario in it, great music, but I will say the amount of dancing in this one is really weird. Oh, that's Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. My bad. This is Mario Sunshine. But just by looking at it, I still don't get the hate. It's got Super Mario, a Sunshine. What could possibly be so bad as to make people hate this game so much? Oh my god! The year is 2001. I wasn't alive, Shrek just came out, and Nintendo just released a freaking lunchbox as their gaming console. The GameCube was home to lots of experimentation. What if Luigi was in a haunted mansion? What if Metroid became a 3D shooter? What if F-Zero actually got a game? And right along with this new experimental game console was, of course, a 3D Mario. Now each 3D Mario has something distinct that sets it apart from the others. Mario 64 basically invented 3D platforming. Galaxy has gravity and a spin move. Odyssey has Cappy, which allows for insane tricks and stunts. And then there's Mario Sunshine.
Mamma mia.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
Now after 64 came out and did a little thing called revolutionize the entirety of 3D gaming as we know it, Sunshine had some pretty big shoes to fill. Not only had to be a good sequel, but a sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time, no pressure. So with huge burdens on their backs and anticipation for a new mainline Mario on the world's most technically advanced console, Nintendo did something bold. Rushed the game out well before it was ready because GameCube sales were low. Yeah, Mario Sunshine is the black sheep out of the entire 3D Mario lineup due to many different factors. Regardless of the rush this game went through, Sunshine as a concept is a big, bold step after 64. It's unapologetically freaking weird. Gone are the levels with different biomes. Say hello to a beach, tropical beach, super tropical beach, and hell. Here at Isle Delfino, you'll meet some crazy, wacky characters and a crooked justice system. Ever wanted to hear Bowser speak? God almighty, me neither, but here it is. Visual style? Hope you like bright burning colors and saturation, because they took that slider and sent it to the moon. Shoot, you can feel that burning sun through the screen.
Hey, it's like the real thing. Oh my god.
And the plot for this game is just as bonkers. Now we've come to predict these Mario plots fairly well by now. Mario 64 starts off with Peach being captured by Bowser, and our job is to rescue her. Mario Galaxy, Peach captured by Bowser, we rescue her. Odyssey, Peach captured by Bowser, we rescue her. So it's no surprise that Mario Sunshine starts with, you guessed it, Mario being framed for vandalism. What? That's right, the theme for this Mario game is community service. You're given FLUDD, a little water jetpack slash squirt gun, and told to clean up the goop off the floor or go to jail. And right away, you're dropped into the main hub world Delfino Plaza, and man, I dig this place. Now I know some people would have preferred another hub world like Peach's Castle, but I think Delfino Plaza is perfect for Sunshine in its gameplay. It's wide open with tall buildings and long vertical jumps that jive really well with how FLUDD works. You can run, jump around, master your movement, stop a guy from burning alive, and get the hang of FLUDD all while having some fun going level to level. And hey, for once Peach is here. In all the other games, she's just a damsel in distress, getting captured all the time. But in Sunshine, she's girl bossing her way all around town. And you can go up and talk with her and she gets captured. But hey, it's just a weird boss fight where you squirt Shadow Mario a bit to save her, then she's back in the town talking it up and she gets captured. Now I was a few missions in at this point and I was really confused because my entire life I've heard of the war crimes of Sunshine, the treacherous Poison River, the soul-crushing red coins in Rico Harbor, Bowser's voice. Mario! But so far, it seems like just another normal fun Mario game. A tutorial showing you the ropes, getting used to the controls, a wacky new character to connect to, a great area to explore, hop around and get used to the movement, and then finally easing you into a safe, cozy, friendly first level. There's some great music, and all feels fair and fun to play. And for a while, I thought Sunshine was yet just another fun, easy, whimsical 3D Mario experience. I was wrong. I don't know what happened to the developers halfway through making this game, what drugs they took, or what emotional distress they were going through, but after the first few levels, this game turns from a mildly difficult platformer into f***ing Dark Souls. This is not an exaggeration. These secret levels start from difficult but doable with some practice to what? See, with these secret levels, FLUDD is taken away from you, leaving you naked and afraid. And without FLUDD, the movement is on full display here, and it ain't pretty. See, Mario games are known for their movement. It's their thing. The separation between them and other 3D platformers. So in the very core of the game is this freaking annoying! It brings the entire experience down as a whole. It's clear that Mario's base movements without FLUDD were not cooked long enough in the oven, so it's mind-boggling why they even take FLUDD away from you in the first place. I don't know if the game engine is just super finicky, but Mario's movements feel way off in this game, where in literally every other Mario game, turns are smooth and flow well with each other. Sunshine snaps from move to move the frame you inputted, but hot take, I don't think that's entirely a bad thing. Sure, if the movements were this sensitive in every other Mario game, I wouldn't care for it as much, but playing Sunshine for the first time recently, the hyper touchy and sensitive movements set it apart from the rest of the games, in good ways and in bad ways. In games like Odyssey, moves are much smoother, with frames in between inputs, so if you try to spin in a circle, it'll take much more time than Sunshine. So by the time you turn around in Odyssey, in Sunshine, Mario's already spin jumped and fallen off the ledge. The ultra fast inputs allow for really quick fun gameplay, with cool tricks you can pull off in the main levels. But in these secret levels, the frame perfect platforming feels way more unfair without FLUDD. In the main courses, if you go for a certain move, but the game doesn't quite register it, or if you didn't hit the button in time, you just correct yourself with FLUDD. But in these secret levels, you have to have precise movements and 100% precision, or you're getting boned, resulting in a whole lot of unfair feeling deaths. Deaths, mind you, that send you back to the very beginning of the entire level. Checkpoints? Sunshine's never heard of them. And get this, a game over will kick you all the way back to Delfino Plaza, so if you were like me with 3 lives max going into these, you would meticulously jump platform to platform with perfect timing, studying the twists and turns these blocks made, premeditating every single move. You finally get to the end of the level with the shine ever so in sight, and then you overcorrect once and no! Now, I don't think I'm bad at games, but my goodness, this game made me question that. I mean this with full sincerity when I say I felt more accomplishment achievement and sheer relief beating some of these secret levels than beating most Dark Souls bosses. The music from these levels are now seared into my brain and instantly activates my fight or flight response. And what sucks is the first few secret levels are actually pretty fun. One in Bianco Hills is daunting at first, but with proper timing and jumps, you can get through it in no time. But these things quickly go from 30-second platforming challenges to 5-minute medical procedures. And these levels are all the more hernia-inducing when it feels like Mario's moveset is actively working against you. Take the side jump for instance. This is my favorite move in the main levels. You just turn in the opposite direction of where you're standing and you jump super high, which can lead to a wall jump or flood, and it's really useful in keeping your momentum going. But the way you pull off this move is by moving the stick opposite to where you're standing, which gives you a half-second or so window to where if you jump, the move plays out. So if you're wanting to turn around quickly and jump without side jumping, tough titties because it side jumps no matter what. And in the main levels, it's all fine and dandy. If you side jump by accident, you just whip out FLUDD and get to where you need to go. But in these secret levels without FLUDD, where a single misinput throws you all the way back to the start, you've gotten all that way, jump by jump, sweating bricks. You're ever so close to the ending with no lives left. Go to get some extra room to secure a jump. As you go, you side jump by accident and have to start the entire thing over again. This got me more than once. So much so that I actually learned that if I was on a ledge and needed some extra running distance before a jump, I have to do these weird half circle runs to keep my momentum going as to not trigger this stupid side jump. When you have the cruelest level design paired with the by far worst movement of any 3D Mario game, it is a vicious recipe for a pain in my loins. Although each main level area is really well made with great level design, you can tell they didn't quite have enough time to implement the best missions to utilize each map. Instead of having actual missions with quests that would take up additional resources, we're just thrown into a void with moving blocks and told to get past it using nothing more than sheer anger. These levels ultimately feel really cheap as main content and are sometimes super lazily implemented. You can see where the developers probably had to stop what actual level they were working on and say, yep, we don't have time to finish this, just teleport them to a secret level. At least in every other Mario game, even 64, if you didn't like a star, you could just skip it in favor of another one. But not here, you get to do every single one of these secret levels. Have fun, but do these levels just ruin the game? Absolutely not. See, despite my insufferable complaining, I actually find these levels somewhat endearing. Somewhat. You can kind of master the cheese elements of Mario's moveset, and it literally turns into a Dark Souls situation where you have to die to learn how to beat the level. Miss a jump here? Go back and land it properly. Suck at the triple jump into a wall jump dive to a platform? Well, too freaking bad, get cracking because it's the only way up this part. This game is so unforgivably difficult that I can't help but to love it. And hate it. As a kid, I'm sure I would have hated this game, but as a macho man who can take care of myself, well, I'm not too bad at Super Mario Sunshine. But enough about these secret levels. How are the other missions? The meat of the game that contain FLUDD and can't be nearly as scuffed since they can't take it away from you again, right? Well, the best way I can describe the other missions is a coin toss. If you flip heads, then hey, you get a really cool objective that tests your platforming skills and rewards mastery of movement with FLUDD. You flip tails and you get the Goopy Inferno. This level takes away FLUDD. Again. And forces you underneath the map onto these rails. Welcome to hell. One wrong move, you're dead. Hit a bug, dead. Wait on the rail too long, dead. Mix up the jump button and pound button because it doesn't freaking tell you on the control screen, dead. This level took me not 5, not 10, not 15, but 35 minutes to complete.
The horror.
But for every dear Lord Almighty, please help me, this sucks Goopy Inferno map, there are a lot of fun missions along the way. And sure, most all missions have a good deal of that Mario Sunshine jank, but after a while, the jank becomes charming. I could word that better. The part of Sunshine that seems to have escaped the rush and crunch are the actual levels themselves. Every single one of these are super well made. Well, most of them. The platforming and challenges are really diverse level to level. Rico Harbor is more vertical, with high jumps and far-off scaffolding. Gelato Beach is more open, which allows for fast traversal and an interesting boss fight. And there's a hotel! I think my favorite aspect of all the levels is how they use Isle Delfino itself. Sure, it's true that all the levels are within a tropical island theme, but each location is vastly different from the other. There's your sandy beach, an amusement park, and yeah, a hotel, but it's actually a pretty cool idea. With some crankin' music that gets you all primed up to spend 15 minutes spraying a star. But hey, once you finally get it, you're teleported to a secret level. Yay. But it's not just that each level is visually distinct from the other. My favorite detail within this game is that it's all one connected island. You can see different levels far off in the distance, and it really feels like you're on this big island, going place to place, which is all the more confusing why these even exist. Although the missions themselves might be a coin flip, where this game really excels is the boss battles. You can tell they really stepped up the effort compared to 64. Where 64 was punch a hand in the eye, get a star, Sunshine has a lot more complex bosses that aren't overly difficult to beat, but unique enough to feel like a challenge. Clean an eel's teeth, ground pound a wiggler, rip a blooper's arms out, waterboard Petey Piranha. The amount of unprovoked animal cruelty in this game has me wondering if Mario's even the good guy here.
Wait, what was the name of this level again? So be it.
Where, yeah, the occasional boss is just a big ol' stinker that makes you rely solely on RNG, the rest of the bosses and other non-jank levels are what make this game really shine. Really, sunshine. I'll go. And although the movement has its problems, the level design is so inspired and interesting that regardless of the issues, it's a blast to run around and explore. Having Flood allowed for some crazy fun level design with super high vertical jumps and long spaces between platforms. Now I have my problem with the concept of Flood as a whole, but the way it's implemented is just about the best way it could have been. You could do some crazy stuff with Flood. Squirt some water on the ground to get a speed boost, get some extra distance in the air, course correct the move. That's it. Now Flood does have other specific uses like spraying objects, using the force to move yourself poorly, but those don't have to do with your core moveset. When it comes to Mario's movement as a whole, Flood is really just a crutch, not an enhancement, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's more of a sidestep from 64 than an actual step forward. If you're out jumping around, twirling, wall jumping, and need to use Flood to get to a platform, all that momentum you built up is immediately stopped as you come to a halt midair and get to your platform. Flood is fun for some sections, but compared to an enhancement like Cappy that is complementary to your moves and shoot, cleans up goop even better than Flood does, just shows the flaws in having an addition like Flood. But although Flood has its issues, a lot of issues, the good way outweighs the bad here because I found myself having a whole lot of fun with Flood. But although I do think Flood is fun, the downsides to its inclusion are pretty apparent to see. For example, some moves from 64 are completely removed. The backwards long jump is actually still a thing, it's just completely useless. But the regular long jump, you know, the most useful move in 64, good riddance. Instead of a huge momentum starter to get distance, you can now just water pack slowly. And then there's the twirl jump, and this is by far the most messed up. There is no animation showing you that the move is ready to go, so you're just awkwardly twiddling your sticks as Mario has a full-blown seizure and hoping he'll spin jump. Sometimes he does, and sometimes you die.
Super Mario Sunshine has the perfect spin jump, and it often goes underappreciated.
Overall, Sunshine's moveset is fine enough, but compared to all the other Mario games, it just really isn't up to snuff. But yeah, the levels are great, the missions are hit or miss, and the moveset is a solid okay. But throughout my tenure of being chronically online, there's always one thing I always heard Sunshine was lambasted for. A little shiny thing called blue coins. I understand this is one of those things that people loathe. It's objective. Mario Sunshine and blue coins. They suck, right? I didn't hate them. Past tense. See, I never got the hate train when hearing about this game. What's wrong with extra collectibles you aren't forced to collect? Sure, people who 100% the game might dislike them, but who cares what they think? They literally make games worse for fun. So for my first few hours of Sunshine, I actually enjoyed picking these little blue guys up. Spray some paint, blue coin. Do a cool jump, blue coin. I actually really enjoyed the little 10-second challenges you do to get these coins. Until they didn't take 10 seconds anymore. See, Sunshine is an old game. With older games, they don't spell everything out for you like nowadays. You basically have to F around to find your next move. So after the roller coaster boss fight, I was told Peach was taking a Corona Mountain, and then the game pissed off. So I had to find out where to go, and that's fine. I implore the challenge. So I went asking around citizen to citizen to maybe get a hint on where to go. I talk to this guy, get a shine. Talk to this guy, he racially profiles me. No clues yet. Then I see this lady right next to the mountain, and I'm sure she has a hint on how to get up there. When I talk to her, she says I have to gather 3 pineapples. Seems easy enough. Wrong. I fought for my life to get these sad excuses for fruit over to this lady, and 9 times out of 10, when I finally hauled its spiky butt over to the basket, I couldn't throw it in properly, and it would despawn, so I had to go back. Grab another one, bring it over, throw it, miss it, grab another one, and 10 minutes of back-breaking work later, I finally get it. You know what she gives me in return? Not a hint on the next level, not even a shine. She gives me a fucking blue coin. I understand the hate. Besides the disgustingly hard blue coins, most of these are fun to pick up when you see them. They're usually easy to find and go to a little counter that you see throughout the entire game. So what are they used for? Extra shines, extra unlockables, maybe even lives? Nothing. See, I picked these up throughout the game assuming they'd be worth something in the end. They're not. I actually can turn in 10 blue coins for a shine, but you don't need to. As long as you get one other extra shine in the game, you can unlock the final level, and these turn useless. I'd assume these coins and their underwhelming inclusion were one of the many casualties in this game getting rushed beyond all belief. After I realized that blue coins were nothing more than ooh pretty, I just skipped them and focused on getting the main collectibles around Delfino Plaza. Because the main collectible has to be more valuable than blue coins, right? See, as you go throughout the game, you aren't really given much direction beyond go get shines, slave, so I kinda just ran around getting as many shines as I could with no other hints. Shoot, I didn't even find the final level until the very end of the game. So throughout Delfino Plaza, I would hear the occasional shine sprite and do whatever task, be it from entertaining to borderline psych ward inducing to get it. All the while thinking the entire time it'll be worth it in the end when I inevitably have a shine count barrier I have to reach to get to the end of the game, like every other Mario game. But nope, ignore all the side activities or extra shines. You don't need any of them. That's right, all the extra stuff is a big fat nothing burger. Just get the 7th shine from every level to unlock the final level. Once I figured this out, aka looked it up because I did not know how to end this game, I was just overswept with a huge feeling of... I just went to literal hell and back, thinking these were useful or needed in any sort of way, but nope. Besides the 7 shines from each level, you have zero incentive to collect any additional anything. Why would I want to? Besides the drive to finish the game, I do not want to risk whatever flip of the coin, fun, or horrifying levels come after these 7 shines. Sorry game, but I'll only let my integrity sink so low. What's funny is you'd think the 7th shine of each level would be the hardest one, pulling together all the skills you learned throughout the past 6 missions, making all those terrible RNG and BS platforming sections look like a piece of cake. And when you finally enter that 7th level, you scored Shadow Mario a bit and boom, a shine. I'm assuming these missions were scraped together to add some finality to each level, but after the soul-searching journey of Goopy Inferno, or the test of discipline and self-control of the Poison River, it's really anticlimactic when all 6 missions build up to an intense final battle against Shadow Mario, all for it to be a squirt gunfight.
Oh man, what type of sick boss fight is this?
It's all led up to this. You know how rich my dad is? You know how hard this boss is getting. Oh my god!
At the end of the game, I was so exhausted from these secret levels or the anticlimactic Shadow Mario boss fights that I just wanted to end the game. So when I finally got all 7 shines from all 7 levels, I was ready. The final level, Corona Mountain, was unlocked. Now before playing this game, I've heard of the horrors of Corona Mountain, and I was foolish enough to think my mental fortitude was strong enough for this level. I see Shadow Mario run into the mountain. I was ready. No matter what challenge lay in front of me, through nothing short of pure will and divine intervention would I get through this. And all I had to do was take my first jump. Corona Mountain sucks! You thought the secret levels were bad. You thought the River of Death was bad. You ain't seen nothing yet. Corona Mountain houses the worst, most scuffed area in the entire game, and boy is that saying something. It's only fitting that this is the very end. After some honestly not too bad platforming, you get to this test of patience. You have to control a boat by spraying your water in the opposite direction you want to go, and it does not work. Not that every once in a while it's slightly off. I mean, you spray in one direction and the boat moves with it. Try and try again. I could not get this to work. But I finally got far enough to where I thought I was at a safe spot to refill my water. Thinking I could finally take a breather. Psych! If the boat touches anything, even the sprinklers, the boat pieces out and you get to do the entire thing over again. I have never been more nervous and precise with my movements. And after a grueling amount of tries, fails, therapy sessions, finally did it. I got past the boat section. As I scaled the mountain, I could only imagine what horrors beyond my comprehension laid in front of me. What sick, sadistic boss fight was I gonna have to spend 45 minutes, my sanity, and a bottle of whiskey on? My anxiety rose with my ascent. Images of all the painful levels came flooding back. The game over sound blaring in my ears. I only had 1 life left. If I died, it would for sure put me back at the beginning. I couldn't do it again. I'm not strong enough. A single tear wept down my face as I contemplated the pain I would have to endure all over again and again. I wasn't sure I could do this anymore. I could just end it here and pull footage from YouTube. No, I'm better than that. I'm a man. And men finish 3D Mario games. I kept going.
pushing on, carefully planning out my rocket jumps. I finally crested the top of the mountain, saw Bowser sitting in that hot tub, and was ready for the boss battle of a lifetime. And ground pounded 8 blocks and the game ended. What? And I honestly can't say I was too upset that it was the easiest underwhelming fight of all time. I simply did not have the energy to redo Corona Mountain all over again. It seems that whatever time constraints were placed on this game just made it so the developers stretched the runtime not by making engaging and fun levels, but by making it hard as balls. But despite all the negatives and complaining, I can say I do like this game. Mario Sunshine feels like a product of its time. 64 was the first one, so it gets a break. But even with being the first one, it's still a great, charming game that feels right at home. Galaxy is a masterpiece that has only ever gotten better the more times I've played it, and Odyssey is as close to perfect as perfect gets. But Sunshine? Sunshine was made in 2002. And yep, it feels like it. Right around this time was the peak of the 3D platformer genre, and although Sunshine is leagues better than its contemporaries, I can't help but feel this was the least Mario of all the Mario games. Corners are obviously cut, challenges are freaking hard and vague, and I love it. I do not see myself revisiting Sunshine as much in the future as I do the other mainline Marios due to, I don't know, half the levels giving me a hernia, but the time I had with Sunshine I very much enjoyed. It's nice to have a Mario game so happy at making you so angry. And shoot, Mario Galaxy would not have been possible if it wasn't for Sunshine setting most of the foundation. So despite all of Sunshine's flaws and the emotional trauma it left me with, I can firmly say that this game is not the worst, most disappointing game of all time that's ruined by blue coins, scuffed movement, and unfair levels. Mario Sunshine is bold, it's creative, it's ambitious, and it's mediocre at best. Good golly jolly the amount of Dark Souls references in that one. But I'm sure that's the last of those. What a weird and charming game that I'll revisit from time to time, to make sure I didn't hallucinate it. Anyways, on to one of my favorite Mario games, Mario Galaxy. This one's the last one that sounds like a meat grinder, so if you get through this, you can get through anything. Up above in space is where Mario Galaxy takes place. Now, is it worth it? Is it cool? Is it one of the most unique and creative games of all time? Yep. Oh, Mario Galaxy. It's one hell of a game. Who knew that if you take a super well-known IP like a Galaxy and combine it with a not-so-well-known gaming icon, you get one of the best games of all time. And I'm sure the thought process was simple while making this game. We've always had Mario on the ground with simple, easy-to-learn controls that have never really changed. So what's next? Let's put him in f***ing space! Now, as we can all see the end result 13 years later, my god, it's been 13 years. It turned out perfectly, but I could totally see if the developers were iffy about the game while they were working on it. The normal was this, and they wanted this. The entire idea of having all these mini planets with their own gravity and the gameplay mechanics that coincide with all that sound so complicated. But they pulled it off! But its wild new mechanics and setting isn't the only thing that excels this game above all other Mario games. Just by the opening level, the tone of this game hits you from out of the blue. Whoa. This is toner. But I get it. Right off the bat, you can tell that this game is taking itself seriously. It feels like a bigger, grander story. Bowser's the most menacing he can be after, you know, continuously cock-blocking him for 25 years. So you can tell that something is different about this game. It's the usual go save the damsel in distress princess and wow, that was a quick game. Wait, that's not it. Hold up, Mario just f***ing dies! Never mind, he's good. Mario wakes up to Illuma getting a little too friendly and it zooms out to a beautiful wide shot. The music cues in this game are something else, man, but we'll get there. He transforms into a bunny and top priority is to chase him down. But then the third thing that sets this game apart from all other Mario games slaps you right in the face. This is getting weird. The soundtrack. My god, words cannot explain how great it is. I'm just kidding, they can and they are. It's wonderful. Honestly, my favorite soundtrack of any game. It's that good. They decided to go with an original orchestra for this game's soundtrack and oh boy, it certainly paid off. Each originally orchestrated song in this game is one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. There's just no beating it. Back to our game, we're basically demanded to play some hide and seek just for some answers, what the hell, and you have to chase down these ferocious, annoying, fast, and slippery
f***ing rabbits, f*** you! But like all good games, this section is getting you used to the controls while you don't even know it. It's not some stable over-the-shoulder camera. It moves and rearranges itself, so it prioritizes visibility over strict control. And as much as it would seem awkward and difficult to control, this baby works like a charm. Like sure, sometimes in certain spots the camera makes it difficult to move, but 99% of the time, it just feels and looks great. It would rather give you a wider view so you can take it all in rather than play it exactly the way we want. And thank goodness, because this game looks pretty damn good. Yeah, it's obviously not up to standard to most games nowadays, but it still holds up incredibly well. Surprisingly enough, this game's only at 480p, and it still looks this good. The deep backdrop of space with planets in the distance, I can only imagine what a remaster, or better yet, a Mario Galaxy 3 would look like on modern consoles. Seriously, Nintendo, make it happen, you've got my money. The three bunnies morph back into their Stardust selves, which are called Lumas, and they introduce you to this lady called Rosalina, who's apparently been watching you. That's right, including what you do at night. She seems like this all-knowing god lady, and she gives you the power of one of her Lumas. She's this seemingly omnipotent, all-knowing goddess, so what possibly could this magic ability be? To see the future, grant you 3 wishes? Nah, now you can spin. But for real, it's a really cool gameplay mechanic that fits right into this game. She then big dips on you and you learn this magic foreign ability of spinning, which reveals to you your main source of transportation. And that sets you off onto the opening tutorial-like level that introduces all these new gameplay mechanics and gives you a sense of what the rest of the game will play out like. You're in this deep outer space with these brand new gameplay mechanics, including MF gravity, all while the swelling of this orchestra is playing in the background. Bruh, this game is great. Not one of my favorite levels considering all the other cool and unique places in the game, but a great opening to an even greater game. But one bit that I love is the music choice, go figure. No matter what music is playing, once you discover and find the main star for a level, it cuts off. The world around you quiets down and a new piece of music plays, indicating that nothing else matters. You've accomplished your goal, now grab your star, my man. But once you get the opening level Grand Star, you're flown to what has to be my favorite Mario hub of all time. The Comet Observatory. It's not jam-packed with things to do, but something about this hub world is just perfection. It's open, fun to run around in, and it's just cozy feeling whenever you're teleported back to it. Contrastly to Mario Galaxy 2's hub island, it's just a huge step down. For Galaxy 2, they decided to dumb down the hub for whatever reason, so now it's just this linear selection like all the other Mario games. And what I think sets Mario Galaxy apart from all other Mario games, including Galaxy 2, is its diversion from the usual Mario layout. Its story isn't as simple, the level selection is unique, and the levels are varied. Even in Galaxy 2, instead of the deep black space, they vied for a more regular sky-looking backdrop. Which is insane because I think I remember it being Mario Galaxy, not being Mario Mesosphere. But all this complaining leads me to question myself. Is Mario Galaxy really all that it's cracked up to be? I mean, it's unique, I'll give it that, but what if I like this game purely because of the nostalgia? I had this game when I was young, and I remember loving it to death. I was the only one who could beat the final Bowser fight at my friend's house, and the memories were great. Saturday mornings where I got up early to 100% the game, discovering new secrets and levels. But I would argue that nostalgia only makes Mario Galaxy that much better. Most things people remember fondly get straight up deified in people's minds, so when you revisit it, it's not as good. But with Mario Galaxy, I would say after replaying it, it's even better than I remember. Because yeah, it was a straight and simple fun game as a kid, but now that I'm older, I can recognize and appreciate the risks the game took. The new gameplay mechanics, the more serious tone, the music. Everything that I overlooked as a kid, I can appreciate now. Hell, there was even a semblance of a story in a f***ing Mario game. And it worked! And that's what I think more Mario games should strive for. Obviously not something like the horrors of war, but having a narrative. You still have to go save Peach, but now it's on a much bigger scale. The fate of the galaxy is in your Italian stubby hands, and you have to travel from planet to save it. And what could have been an easy cop-out Earth setting for all the planets and levels is actually a super impressive slate of cool areas to explore. They really go all out with these levels, from dark voids of space to bright beach-type planets. And just to further exemplify my point about the music, they have 2 types of music for each of the water levels, so when you're underwater, it sounds like it. If that's not dedication, man, I don't know what is, because each place has their own unique, fitting music and it just works. And the rest of the game is equally good, if not better than the first mission. There's always new exciting objectives, quite a lot of unique boss fights, and a whole lot of fun to be had with Mario Galaxy. This game is by far my favorite Mario game, simply because of the risks it takes. The mechanics, the serious grandiose tone, and that sweet succulent music all play a part in why this game is great. Now does nostalgia play a part in why this game's my favorite game of all time? Yeah, duh. But unlike most everything, nostalgia is at its best with Mario Galaxy, because I can now appreciate all the things I overlooked as a kid. It's not just a good memory that's to blame for me liking this game. It's because I can appreciate this game for what it truly is. A kid's game that I just blushed about for 8 minutes.
Oh baby, that was rough. The hair too. Ew. Anyways, on to our next game that happens to be the only Mario game with a proper sequel, Mario Galaxy 2. And this one starts a little spooky.
Lightning sure is scary, huh? 300 million volts of pure tickle juice hitting y'all at once doesn't sound too pleasant. Luckily, whatever's going on outside is just a storm, so we should be fine. But all this, of course, has me thinking of Mario Galaxy 2. What is considered the greatest 3D Mario game. Absolutely flawless. Nothing but a grand step up from the first, with even better, triumphant music and perfectly crafted level design. I don't like it as much as the first. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's the masterpiece everybody makes it out to be. Now, is that an offensive opinion? Sure. Smite me. Galaxy 2. A game so great and influential, Nintendo left it out of their anniversary collection. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong, Galaxy 2 is a good game. In fact, it's a great game. It's true what they say about the level design and ideas here. They're some of the best in the entire series. And although it definitely doesn't sound like it, I do actually prefer this game compared to Sunshine, seeing both of them as A-tier Mario games. Where Sunshine was that C student in school where you were just happy past a class, Galaxy 2 is proof that it could be something amazing, but just doesn't quite reach its full potential. If you do some looking around on the box of this one, you'll see that this is a 2 next to the name, meaning it's a sequel. And as a sequel, you're supposed to take everything great about the first and make it better, while cleaning up whatever didn't work before. Not pointing fingers or naming names. The Sling Pods. But in Galaxy 2, it feels like they took some good about the first and made it even better, while taking other stuff that was good and threw it in the trash and lit it on fire. Yeah, it's my hot take of the century. Galaxy 2 takes 1 step forward, but 2 steps back compared to the first. They added a whole lot of great stuff in this game. Yoshi, new power-ups, Lubba. And although I left this game happy I played it, I mean, come on, it's a 3D Mario, I just couldn't shake the feeling that there was massive wasted potential here. And nothing better illustrates that point than by looking how each game begins. See, in Galaxy 1, it takes its sweet time in the start, and I'm all there for it. You're given backstory on the Star Festival, and open on Mario running his little Italian butt over there with beautiful scenery and music. You've subtly learned the controls as you're led to Peach's castle, and along the way you get to soak in the festival and see the entire Mushroom Kingdom celebrating. But to absolutely no one's surprise, Bowser shows up crashing the party! This happens so regularly, it's a wonder why there isn't a Toad Secret Service by now.
I'll be approaching the princess! Target is in range! Target is hostile! Take the shot! Take the shot!
Bowser does give his usual blarbly blarb speech, but everything feels so much more heightened and cinematic due to the time it took to build up to this moment. And for the first time, inclusion of cutscenes. Good cutscenes. Junior? Mario goes to do his Mario thing, but psych, this is the beginning of the story, he freaking dies. And where the second game's already shot you into the first level and Miyamoto's holding a gun to your head and telling you to start jumping around, Galaxy 1 takes this time to slow down, not afraid of being quiet, and letting you soak in the atmosphere. You're not thrown into a galaxy, this isn't even a level, you just have to run around on this planet to catch some bunnies. And on comes my favorite track from this entire game. It's not a grand orchestra, it's just a quiet, melancholic song, embodying this entire game's tone. There's fun platforming and thrilling levels later on, but this moment, This moment is special. There are no moments like this in Galaxy 2, and for some, platforming and great levels are all they need, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, Galaxy 2 is missing the key that made Galaxy 1 what it was. Emotion. The first game made me feel things. Wonder at the beauty of the Star Festival, isolation on this lone planet, determination to help these Lumas and save the Comet Observatory, sadness, that's right, sadness for Rosalina's tragic backstory. Shoot, it even makes Bowser almost scary. Galaxy 1 takes upwards of 15 minutes of introduction and meeting a literal god until we finally get our main spin ability for this game, and it feels earned. And this is what I love about Galaxy. It'll get to the usual Mario hopping around, but not without taking its time, building tension, and having me feel actual emotion for a freaking star by the end of the game. Contrast that entire opening, the Star Festival, the attack, the lone planet, and meeting Rosalina, to Galaxy 2, where you start the game, walk down a path, and stumble upon the Luma and you get the spin move instantly. What's more appealing to you? This? Or this? Yeah. This?
Go, Mario.
Or this? Okay, that's not a fair comparison. Lubba's the man. But Galaxy 1 pulled no punches and set up the world and stakes before getting you to the good stuff. But Galaxy 2 pulls just about every punch it has to funnel you into the first level. Stop looking around and taking it in. Go, go, go! Due to the length of the introductions of each game and time it takes to get to the first level, it's clear that the main priority here was to get them dang kids the Yahooing as fast as possible. And you can't blame them. Right around when Galaxy 2 came out, Mario Bros. Wii just sold a freaking gross amount of copies. So it's clear that they tried to take aspects from that game and incorporate them into this one, which is responsible for, I don't know, everything I find wrong with this game. Remember the Comet Observatory that was Rosalina's home and housed all the levels, explaining how we even get from galaxy to galaxy? That was home to a heart-touching story that gave her a backstory and came with a clever themed mission select screen? That, here's a linear level select screen, and ew. Each new area you unlock is called a world now, like from the 2D games. But where in that game it makes sense because you're visiting different worlds, in Galaxy 2 it's confusing as balls. You're saying these are worlds, but the levels inside these worlds are different galaxies? Look, I'm no Mushroom Kingdom scientist or anything, but this place has some bonkers physics.
Oh my gosh! The star's in here.
Remember Rosalina's heart-touching optional story from the first game that fleshed out the world you live in, made freaking death canon to the Mario universe, and made you actually feel something by the end of the game? Were you looking for Mario Galaxy 2 to carry over that story? Sucks to suck, because Galaxy 2 is the same story without the story. Cutscenes gone, introduction gone, no story, all gameplay. Basically anything from the first game that got in the way of the gameplay, they cut it. But you might be asking, aren't Galaxy 2 and Mario Bros. Wii two very different games? Wouldn't it be kind of foolish to take elements from a 2D casual Mario and shove them into a big 3D one? Well, it is a bit more complicated than that, but yeah. Although I do have some problems with how they decided to take the gameplay in this one, most all of that could probably be ignored if they didn't ignore the story. Cause where it stands, Galaxy 1 is not a perfect game. It's got its issues, many issues. But it's one of my favorite games of all time, not just due to the great levels and gameplay, but because it feels different. It's cinematic, intense. It feels like this time, this one means something. So when you make another Galaxy game and slap a 2 on there, it makes me think they'll continue the story somehow. They don't. It's basically an alternate universe telling of the first game, only in this universe, storytelling is outlawed. It basically ignores the first game, pretending it doesn't even exist, but expects me to be engaged. Besides the fun levels, there's nothing else here. Nothing for me to sit and ponder on, like in the first game.
I think I suck at the sling pods.
So on a fundamental level, due to the direction they took the game, I simply cannot connect with it like I did the first. So Galaxy 2 opts to skip all that useless story and cutscenes and jump you straight into the levels. But to be fair, these freaking rule. I love Galaxy 1's levels with all my heart. It's like a son to me. But Galaxy 2, well, it's your cool uncle. This is the first game's ideas in Galaxies, but perfected. Running and jumping around has never felt so smooth, and it's nice to just be back in the Galaxy gameplay yet again. And the visuals, don't even get me started. Dang! There's just something about how space looks around you as you run around on the planets that will never not blow me away. The graphics are as gorgeous as ever in 480p resolution. Yeah, Nintendo straight refused to support this game to the Switch, forcing people to use an emulator, but I don't see why that's such a big deal. I don't know how, but on my Wii, Galaxy 2 ran perfectly at 1080p 60 FPS. On an emulator. On my PC because they won't port it to the Switch. And getting from level to level, besides this blasphemy, is really fun due to Galaxy 2's hub world, Starship Mario. It's something I've come around to because at first I thought it was a huge downgrade compared to the Comet Observatory. But why pit the two against each other? Each hub fits their own game. Like in 64 and Sunshine, where Peach's Castle and Isle Delfino lent itself to their games' respective gameplay, Starship Mario is a big ol' Mario head, where you can get used to the gravity, walk around, talk to people, and it's just a great break in between levels. And considering everything they removed from the first game, I'll take all the breathing room I can get. As the game progresses world to world, the scenery around you and the level select changes with it. Now I was ready to shot put my Wii out a window if these great skyboxes didn't translate over to the Starship Mario, and I'm happy to say it very much does. Thankfully, for my Wii's sake. It gives each world a great vibe, and getting a brand new, awesome looking skybox in the Starship Mario is a huge breath of fresh air every time you get a star. And holy man, these skyboxes are drop dead gorgeous. I found myself sitting and staring at these way longer than any human should feel comfortable doing so. The hub itself may seem small, and to be fair it kinda is, but they definitely waste no space here. As you progress level to level, more peeps from your adventures will show up, along with items you just discovered, making the station feel more and more alive. On the main captain section of the hub, you got your steering wheel that takes you to the level select screen. You have Lubba, who's a boss. At first I was frankly offended he was our replacement over Rosalina, who they kinda just brush aside in this game, but Lubba won me over fairly quickly. He'll give you hints and passively aggressively judge you every second of your adventure. And he's always got something to say about a new addition to the ship. I mean, come on, look at him. He's Lubba. We like Lubba. But along with him, we also have a banking toad where you can deposit and withdraw star bits. And hey, this toad does a better job holding onto your money than the US banking system does. There's also a mail toad like from the first game. He'll deliver you letters from different people. If it's an extra star you can go grab, to a mystery person who's looking after the Lumas. I wonder who that could be. Or even Princess Peach, who will write to you fairly frequently and give you one-ups. I always thought it was funny how Peach is sending you letters while she's kidnapped, as if Bowser knows and just doesn't care. Overall, Galaxy 2 plays and feels like a charm. Levels just feel beefier this time around, with everything feeling fine-tuned and superbly crafted. And with these great skyboxes in the level select, I was excited to see how the levels themselves would look. And I can happily say that these galaxies are out of this world. There's a wide open beach with a bright blue sky, a galaxy where everything's gigantic with great platforming and a bright blue sky, a frozen over lake with dense fog, and when it's finally uncovered, you're surrounded by a bright blue sky? That's it. For having galaxy in the name and being set in freaking space, there sure is a lot of blue in this game. Where in the first game it wasn't afraid to thrust you into the dark depths of space with melancholic music and make you contemplate all your past sins, freaking half of these levels are bright blue, bubbly, happy, and I hate it. This doesn't feel like Mario Galaxy. This feels like Mario Ozone Layer. Now let me point out, there's nothing wrong with a bright blue cloudy backdrop. It's really pretty and goes well with swimming and beach galaxies. Shoot, those are some of my favorite levels from the first game. But man, in Galaxy 2, every single one of these is bright and blue. Out of the 36 main levels, not including boss fights, 19 of these are bright blue cloudy skies. Yes, I counted. Yes, I should be medicated. This is Mario Galaxy. Do you know how much crazy cool looking stuff is in regular space? Think about Mario space. I want to see freaking bonkers backdrops, Aurora Borealis, supernovas exploding in the background. That's something I can look out my window and see every day.
Oh my gosh. Boring.
Now, considering each world in the level select screen has its own sky backdrop, I figured that explains why World 1 has so many bright blue skyboxes. We're just starting this adventure, and it was a good tool to show we're finally entering space and leaving the atmosphere. So when you enter this new world and was greeted with deep colors of black and green with somber music playing, I was so excited. What were these new levels gonna look like? How would they use this backdrop to its fullest potential? 5 out of the 6 levels were blue and sunny. Now I know what you're saying. MeMelon, isn't it super nitpicky and frankly really weird you care this much about skyboxes in a Mario game? And to that I confidently say, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, it's not really a big deal that the sky is blue, but when it comes to yours truly, I'm a big vibe and feel guy. And when you put Mario in space and had an entire game before this one showing how cool the atmospheres and skies can be, and then promptly rip most of that out and replace it with blue clouds, I'm gonna let my obnoxious voice be heard. But that isn't to say it's just blue skies, because when Mario Galaxy 2 flies, it freaking soars. Sweet Mystery Galaxy has beautiful red and blue colored galaxies in the background. Flip Swap Galaxy has a great contrast of dark and light blues that are gorgeous and super enjoyable to look at in between me repeatedly falling to my death. Looking at the box art compared to the first, it's not like this was something they were ashamed of. The box reflects the amount of blue skies and clouds you'll find in this Mario Galaxy game. A lot. And to be fair, most of these levels do go really well with the style of backdrop, and they do switch it up every once in a while too. Hightail Falls Galaxy is bright and blue, but with sprawling waterfalls in the distance. Flipsville Galaxy is cloudy, but has an early morning feel with different shades of purple. It just feels like although there are some really cool looking levels, the potential you have with not only being space, but also a sequel, just feels like they could have done so much more beyond 19 variations of blue and cloudy. But I'm not saying that blue skyboxes are some crime against humanity that ruins the game for me. This is very much just a pet peeve, so hopefully nobody gets the wrong idea. Man, but enough about the skyboxes of these levels. No one else should care nearly as deeply about them as I do. What new stuff did this game bring to the party? See, with Galaxy 2 being a sequel and all that, just being a reskin of the first game with no additional content would not have cut it. This isn't Pokemon here, guys, so what new stuff does Galaxy 2 bring to the table? Yes! Whoa. The first big addition you'll notice is, oh my god, what is that? And also Yoshi's in the game. Ride this little lizard all around, where he can eat enemies, grapple flowers, and boy, he handles so much better than Sunshine. And hey, there's no boats you have to sit on for 10 minutes either. He also doesn't disintegrate when he touches water. Man, Sunshine was weird. And Yoshi doesn't come without his performance-enhancing drugs either. He can eat different power-ups to make him run really fast, glow in the dark, inflation. Although these are some weird choices for power-ups, these are super creative and really fun to use. The 3 levels that they're in. Listen, at the end of the day, I think Galaxy 2 justifies its existence. Barely. I'll always have fun with Galaxy's gameplay, no matter what, and the additions they make are really fun, but it is quite obvious that this was an expansion of levels slapped together with a few gimmicks to warrant the 2 on the box. Yoshi is really fun and cool when he shows up. See, the biggest issue I think I have with Galaxy 2 as a whole is that it feels like it brings a lot of cool new ideas to the table and does a whole lot of nothing with them. What Mario games as a whole do best is introduce a new gameplay idea or feature, expand on that idea, and then give it a twist later on. But with Galaxy 2, there's so many power-ups and gameplay modifying items introduced, and from the last game, that you're straight up choking Mario with all the mushrooms he has to eat. The Fire Flower, Rock Mushroom, Cloud Flower, Bee Mushroom, Boo Mushroom, Spring Mushroom, Dash Pepper, Blimp Fruit, Bullberry.
Stop! I'm so f***ing high.
So after what feels like forever getting introduced to all this cool new stuff, you're finally ready for them to throw all these cool mechanics into the blender and make some great levels. The game ends. Compared to the 32 levels from the original, Galaxy 2 sports 42 levels. Now at first that sounds like it has to be an upgrade, right? But in the first game, there were upwards of 5 different missions for each galaxy, not including bonus stars, utilizing the different areas and backdrops, or even telling a mini story throughout all the missions. It had the 1-star gimmick galaxies, but not only were those really creative and fun in their own right, it complemented the beefy galaxies even more. But in Galaxy 2, these galaxies usually only have 1 mission, with sometimes having a side gimmick like a race or purple coins. So by the end of the game, after I beat all the regular missions and then some, I was desperately looking for an extra star just so I could get to the final level. It sucks because this game ditched all the story to hit the ground running. You get Yoshi in the 2nd level, and right out of the gate, we're shown all his moves, abilities, and shoot, even a boss fight. I was so excited to see what they do with him next. You don't see him until 7 levels later. Not stars, mind you, levels. And there's only 42 in the base game to begin with. A lot of times, it would be so long since using a Yoshi that when I would stumble upon one in a level, I was reminded he was even in the game. If my math is correct, he only shows up in about 9 levels throughout the whole game, with most of them introducing his power-ups or only being in brief sections. It's not that he's a bad addition, it's that he's a great addition, but never gets to be fully fleshed out properly. And my problem with Yoshi just about sums up all my other problems with this game as a whole. All these additions are really cool, none of them miss the landing, but although Galaxy 2 shines bright in some areas, it's a mean case of quantity over quality here. There's so many new additions, from new power-ups, new gameplay mechanics, sliding, flying, mechanics from the older games like the rolling ball, old power-ups, that there's so much going on here that none of these are really fleshed out to their fullest potential. And the level that showed me just how good this game could have been is the Starshine Beach Galaxy. This is one of my favorite galaxies in the entire game. And shoot, it even has a bright blue backdrop. This level is wide open, and as you explore the islands, you get to use Yoshi and 2 of his power-ups to move around. One to get a 1-up, and the other to go really fast over the water. And in the other star, you get to use the new Cloud power-up. These give you floatier jumps, and 3 clouds you can use to jump around. And man, this is one of those levels where Galaxy 2 just clicked for me. Using different power-ups to traverse the map, with everything working in tandem with one another, makes me wonder why they didn't do more levels like this. Because Galaxy 2's gameplay is fun. Its highs hit just as high as the first game, but when you gut the story and focus solely on the gameplay, I'm gonna expect a bit more from the game. But where I can say Galaxy 2 excels is the freedom it gives you inside the levels. Outside might be a different story, but inside, even though these are course clear levels, you're still given a great deal of freedom with your movement. There's nothing I love more in a Mario game than being given a fun moveset and being told to get from A to B. How? Freaking figure it out! It's why I love Odyssey and parts of Sunshine so much. Curated levels specifically made to be played a certain way can be cool, but being given the freedom to break those rules and forge your own faster, albeit sometimes completely harder path is super rewarding for me. I'm always on the lookout, finding any and all shortcuts I can to cheese a level. If it's long jumping over certain sections, backwards long jumping into a wall kick with a spin to get to a high ledge, when I pull these self-made obstacles off, cutting between platforms or skipping a section completely, I feel really smart and cool about it. And sometimes that doesn't quite happen. But regardless, I found Galaxy 2 was full of these little self-made obstacles I can make for myself. Sometimes it does funnel you through the level, wanting you to complete it a certain way with a little room for experimentation, but more times than not, it gave me the freedom to breeze through some of these sections and go off the beaten path. And every once in a while, I was even rewarded for it. Take the Freeze and Burn Galaxy. You're supposed to sit on this platform where it turns into an auto-scrolling level, aka my worst nightmare, but they place a cloud mushroom on a platform, where with some well-placed long jumps and spins, you can just cheese this entire section. It also leads to like the coolest boss fight with the most creative combat that's a great expansion from the boss from the first game. And sometimes the game lets you get outside the boundaries, giving you extra lives, star bits, or coins. And although none of these are super useful, it's just nice that the developers put in the time to acknowledge the fact that, wow, this bozo actually put in the time and effort to get here. Overall, although there are lots of things about Galaxy 2 that don't quite do it for me, make no mistake, this is still one great game that's super creative and inspired. I just think instead of going balls to the wall and having, 10 power-ups in this game, and a brand new playstyle with Yoshi, they should have either focused on a few of the power-ups to fully flesh them out, or make more bigger levels like Starshine Beach to incorporate them more. But the fundamental problem here isn't the overstuffed gameplay or the lack of the story. It's the blue skyboxes. I'm kidding, it's the lack of story. The first game struck such a chord with me, not just when I grew up, but even now, because of its story. And shoot, Galaxy 2 is the game I have the most kid nostalgia for, but this game is really just Galaxy more, and not a proper sequel in my opinion. I think there's a version of this game in my head, or even just another Galaxy sequel, that could be another one of my favorite games of all time, that fully flesh out these great new mechanics they added, better utilize the space setting, and kept the same tone and story as the first game. But for what Galaxy 2 is, I appreciate, because maybe my dream of the perfect Galaxy sequel is exactly that, a dream. But isn't that what looking into the stars is all about? Dreaming? Well, I'll stop being corny. I don't want to take your breath away. Wow, that was cheesy. I'm sorry. Sorry. What's going on? I'm spacing out right now. What is up with these space puns? I'm really killing the atmosphere. Oh my god, this isn't a comedy. Oh my goodness, I can't stop. Please, somebody help. I can't maneuver this.
Much better. And there was even a mini review of the first one to make up for whatever the heck that first Galaxy review was. But I'll tell ya, I could use some blue skyboxes right around now, because the only thing I see is cataracts. Anyway, our next game is Mario 3D World.
Bugs are weird, but you know what's weirder? Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Every 3D Mario has a theme. Sunshine was a tropical vacation, Mario Galaxy was space, Mario Galaxy 2 was underwhelming, and Mario Odyssey was hats. What has to be the absolute weirdest of them all is 3D World and its alarming obsession with cats. Meow. I feel like I'm too American to get it, but what made them choose cats for this game? I guess it does tie in with the new power-up the game is marketed with that lets you climb walls and dive off edges to your death by accident, but there has to be a deeper reason why, right? Well, easy enough. The answer lies in an interview with the legendary creator of Mario himself, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto. And let's just say his answer is... telling.
I would add that cat women are sexy and I wanted to see what a cat Peach would look like. Haha.
But the blasphemous Cat Peach doesn't end there. It's not just the characters being cats, or the power-ups being cats. The collectibles are cats. The trees are cats. Every single enemy is a cat. Cats are cats, but by far the absolute weirdest, most inexcusable of them all is... What is this game? What the fuck?
Super Mario 3D World!
The year is 2013, and Nintendo's hot spankin' new console just released. No one bought it! But the few that did were praying to Mother Mary that the 3D Mario game on the horizon would make their purchase worth it. Was it gonna be a successor to Mario 64, or a Galaxy 3, or maybe even something crazy and brand new? And when Super Mario 3D World was finally announced at E3 2013, it was met with a resounding...
What?
Now.
Yeah, this game was quite controversial back when it was announced. How do I know? I don't. I looked like this when they released this game, but I'm sure that it was a bit off-putting that the next big blockbuster 3D Mario went from this to this?
Now.
See, out of all the mainline Marios, 3D World is by far and away the most generic looking one out of the bunch. And to those who haven't played it, I wouldn't blame you for thinking this is just that one game tainted by the generic 2D New Super Mario formula, but translated to 3D. And at first glance, it looks like exactly that. Oh look, the Mushroom Kingdom, haven't seen that before. Let me guess, Bowser captures Peach, but this time it's done through interpretive dance, as to remove as much story as possible. Oh, Bowser's going after a fairy? That's weird. I guess it'll just be the same shtick, but with Peach, whatever. Whoa, we can actually play as everybody here? Okay, that's awesome. And there's many walkable hubs for each world, and the music is a bop with a great jazz theme, and this cat power-up is really cool, and the level themes are actually creative and auto-scrolling levels. But holy crap, Bowser's got a new set of wheels, oh yeah! And Captain Toad, he's got his own levels too, oh man! And the Goombas, they're in little floaties, come on, that's adorable. And the final world is a freaking theme park, this is awesome. Blue fire, dude, oh yeah! And oh my gosh, the final fight with Bowser, how is this gonna go? What's it gonna be like? This game is weird.
Now.
The best way I can describe 3D World is that it is a somewhat translation of the 2D game series minus the soulless dread. How many times have we seen the same grass, desert, snow levels with the exact same backdrops? Can you tell which new Super Mario game this is? Trick question, they're all different. You can't tell any of these apart. But you show me this game, like it or not, yep, that's 3D World. This game has an identity. This game has creativity and heart. This game I don't think is that fun to play. Where the heart and creativity is concerned, 3D World is right up there as one of the best in the entire series. You can tell the developers had a blast crafting these levels, along with other things. But the gameplay by itself? I don't think it's that fun! This is as basic course clear Mario as course clear can get. Want to explore an open level and find secrets at your own pace? Screw you, get to the flagpole freaking now, dang it! Now being a hyperlinear course clear type game can come with some upsides, but also comes with some beefy downsides as well. For one, it makes these levels hyper-focused and extremely unique, but what you see here is what you get. Extremely linear. Not much room for exploration. It very much feels like handcrafted artificial levels floating in a void. And if you know my relationship with Sunshine, well... PTSD. In case I've offended anyone at this point, let me point out, I do like this game. I like all these games, but the other 3D Marios, even Galaxy 2, all tried to do something new, taking risks and taking our favorite chubby Italian plumber to new places, while 3D World just kinda does the 2D thing, but in 3D, minus a few moves. Now I can totally see why some people would say this is their favorite 3D Mario game. It is set apart from the rest. The levels are the most focused and well crafted in the entire series. But just like with Galaxy 2, I'd like there to be a semblance of immersion. And where I can excuse most of Galaxy 2's levels where freaking tree people are sitting on a ledge floating in the middle of nowhere as, well, galaxies be galaxies, I guess. 3D World's levels lack a consistent through line of reality by just being floating platforms with no sense of immersion, and man, this sounds lame when I say it out loud. Look, these levels are great. It's got charm, and there's certainly fun to be had here. In fact, there's nothing overtly bad about this game, but there's nothing they could have really done wrong here either. This was the least risky Mario game possible, by a country mile. There are elements that are unique, but the game couldn't have been ruined by Bowser not capturing Peach this time, despite what I'm sure Miyamoto told the developers. Movement is tight and responsive, and it's fun to just run around, but the move set itself is really bare bones. They cripple or straight up remove moves for no reason. Do a little thought experiment with me and close your eyes, and think about what makes Mario's moveset fun. Running, jumping, maybe even a wall kick in there. Perhaps a great side jump, or a backwards long jump to give vertical height. And don't forget that triple jump, what a classic. Maybe a gameplay modifying item like the Flood, Cappy, or a spin move. Is that what you would like in your 3D Mario game? F you! Get to run and jump. No triple jumps, no new gameplay changes, just the bare essentials. And sure, out of all the other games, this moveset works best with this game, but I feel like that just shows that the basic concept as a whole is flawed. Even in the switchboard, sure it's nice to run even faster and have moves from Odyssey, but these are virtually useless in this type of game because with such small, linear, and borderline claustrophobic levels, no amount of cool new power-ups or perfectly placed floating platforms and enemies will make me prefer to play this game over any other 3D Mario. That is, if I'm playing solo. See, if you look on the back of the case, a keen eye will catch that this says up to 4 players, which has me thinking. This isn't just single player. That's right, you're supposed to play this 3D Mario game with other people? And playing this multiplayer shoots this game from an okay B-tier Mario game. I mean, it's fun, but it's not all that to, oh my god! Stop running off screen! Stop freaking running around! Get on Plusty, dang it! It's fun multiplayer. This game is not a single player game. It's a multiplayer game with a single player option. The sheer chaos and coordination to just beat a single level will test if your friends are truly your friends, or if they need to be taken care of. All of my criticisms so far are just about thrown out the window when you factor in multiplayer. Sure, this is my bottom pick for playing solo, but even still, it's a good time. And playing with other people, it's made so much better. Although I will say, if both of you want to play the same character, sometimes things can get a little heated.
Alright, let's play some Mario 3D World. You ready? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Mario time. Woohoo!
Oh, you're picking Mario? Yeah, is that a problem? No big deal.
Although multiplayer definitely helps the experience, my biggest issue is just how dang linear this game is, and not just by progression. In all the other games, hopping around a level comes with a semblance of freedom, but in 3D World, it feels like every single move is laid out right in front of you. Anything breaking the norm is a big fat no-no. The only reward for exploring, and I put those in heavy air quotes, are these green stars, and the occasional secret spaces with coins. But with how linear and by the books the levels are, it is quite obvious where these things are. Where in a game like Odyssey, it can hide its purple coins and hard to reach spots or in creative places, it pulls those off because it feels like I'm in a real place and I put an actual effort to get somewhere. But in 3D World's levels, everything is so hand-placed and intentional that this gap in the wall of course is gonna lead to a green star, because the spot would not be here without one. Every single element of a level is utilized, but to a fault. There's nothing secret about these spots. In other games, it feels like I discovered something on my own, and the devs just happen to reward me for it. But in this game, the only surprising element of these green stars is just how many you need to beat the freaking game. I expected some sort of soft lock of stars to get to the final area, but man, you have to ace over half the levels and get 1 or 2 on all the others to get the final area. And when an uncomfortable amount of these levels are auto-scrollers, if you miss a single green star, you get to do the whole level all over again. Both Galaxy 2 and 3D World have some wacko final star counts. It had me looking back at Sunshine wondering if all my disdain was simply misplaced. And then I remember the secret levels and all that apathy comes flooding right back. I will say I am glad that I got back into playing all these games after Odyssey was released, because if this was the big 3D Mario we had for 4 years thinking this was the future, I'd lose my marbles. But since Odyssey came out, proving they're still down to throw Mario in an iced over desert naked with a sentient hat, aka creativity, I can appreciate this game for what it is. A fun, safe multiplayer game for the whole family. Overall, 3D World has its own thing, it's just not really my ideal Mario. But that doesn't mean I didn't have a blast with this one. Review concluded. Wow, in record time too. There's just not a whole lot for me to talk about with this game. It's not like they for some reason brought it back after 10 years, repackaged with an open world sandbox collectathon with freaking Giga Bowser and anime boss fights. And 30 extra copies of Firefly's Battle City. You can't get everything. Super Mario 3D World. Join the Mario gang in this brand new adventure, but with a twist. They're cute little cats this time around. Aww! With some fun levels and cheery music, this is a Mario game for the whole family to enjoy. And as a bonus, we threw in a little side story called Bowser's Fury, which is evil, darkness, fire, glittering. Glittering is cool. That's right, it's not 2013 anymore. The future is now. The only sure thing about life is death. And Nintendo porting a 10-year-old game to the Switch for $60. This game, nay, this experience, it feels like it was specifically made for the goobers like me that just didn't vibe well with the course clear nature of the original. Just think about how freaking bonkers it is that not only did they include a whole side game in this port, but had it be the exact opposite gameplay-wise to the original. You don't like course clear levels? How about a wide open lake with Odyssey-style shines everywhere? Or, sorry, cat shines. Not a big fan of the fixed camera angles with claustrophobic level design? Run anywhere you like! Enjoy the scenery, take in the trees, or cat trees? Felt like everything in the original game was too hand-placed and artificial. Enemies are just big chillin' everywhere in their floaties. Or cat enemies? Oh man, they doubled down hard on the cat stuff here. If 3D World was tiptoeing the line on weird, Bowser Fury full-on embraces it and says pay me for it. I don't know about you, but this side game is just freaking awesome. Most problems I had with 3D World are fixed here. Even with 3D World's simpler controls, they show just how good they can be when given some room to breathe. It's the best of both worlds here. 3D World's gameplay with Odyssey-style levels and collection. But you can't talk about Bowser's Fury without mentioning the unhappy camper himself. When you're teleported into Lake Lapcat, you're not met with a bright bubbly lake, but rather depression, rain, spookiness. And off in the far distance, you see something move. Another day in the Mushroom Kingdom, I suppose. But after you grab a cat shine, he goes back into hibernation. For now. Here you meet Bowser Jr. And although not much is done with him throughout the whole game, it's still really awesome to see. He'll follow you around, bonking enemies, harassing wildlife, and will store up to 25 power-ups? Holy balls, I thought 3D World was innovative for storing one. The power-up storage mechanic here is a really helpful tool. Although I really just stayed between the cat suit and Tanuki suit, it was nice to switch between them when the gameplay favored a certain power-up. And shoot, I even needed the fire flower. Once. I think my favorite part of Bowser Jr. in this game isn't even how he affects the gameplay. It's that when you get hit by an enemy, the dude just laughs at you. And I love it. Lake Lapcat itself is just right up my alley. A wide open area where you can explore to your heart's content. Cat shines galore. Talk to this cat to get a shine, catch a bunny, do an Odyssey-style time trial. You only need 50 to beat this game, but there's 100 to choose from. And the more shines you get, the more areas open up, with secrets found throughout the entire world. The map is so big, in fact, you have to ride this freaking plastic dinosaur from level to level. Have I mentioned this mode is awesome? What could have been a bonus world or maybe a challenge mode for 3D World was instead the first open world Mario experience ever. But although the open world is a dream come true, it's clear the Switch wasn't quite made for a game like this. The resolution is already lowered in Bowser's Fury, but shoot, when the starring man himself comes out for an encore, it gets even worse. And with constant frame rate dips, I'm desperately trying to get a hold of a shine just so I can see clearly again. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here! And a few times throughout the game, I thought I'd have to send mine to the pasture. The first few times Fury Bowser comes out roid rage trying to steal your lunch, it's freaking awesome. You see the rain start pouring, the music kicking in, and Bowser's shell starts to rise, and oh crap. But I do think the novelty of big anime boss Bowser wears off fairly fast. It quickly got to the point where if it had been a while since a little action, the rain would start, the music kicks in, I'm supposed to be all terrified, shaking in me boots, he comes out of the shell looking angry, and then I immediately grab a shine to make him go away. Yeah, he does get a bit annoying after a while, but it's not that big a deal. If this was a full-length game and he shows up as frequently as he does here, I might complain, but with how long this side game is, it is really cool. Just the novelty wears off a bit. In fact, I found him really useful later in the game. There's certain blocks that can only be destroyed by his fire, so every time I saw the rain starting, I'd rush over to a level where the blocks were. But you're not just supposed to stop and smell the roses when this freaking demon tries to kill you. There's the Giga Bell, a mega-sized power-up that lets you fight back. And when you finally grab it to take Fury Bowser on, you transform into a huge come on!
Now.
These boss fights are epic, and the music is freaking awesome. Now, I've never really been a huge fan of Bowser boss fights, as they're usually cool, but a bit too simple for me, and this time around, it's no exception. But the sheer scope of being freaking huge dodging attacks from this is just too cool for me not to love. The only weird thing about these boss fights is that the camera is sometimes really hard to control. When Bowser goes into a spinny shell attack, you have to move Mario in the direction you're pointing the camera to even try to keep up with Bowser, and it got me a few times. But that's literally the only downside here. The levels are awesome, map progression's awesome, the fights and encounters are awesome, and shoot, when Bowser's OG theme from 3D World kicked on during the final Fury Bowser fight, I got a tiny jolt of 3D World nostalgia. And you know what? I'm glad. Overall, Bowser's Fury is not only a bite-sized, fun Mario game that I am sure I will go back and replay often, but it enhances 3D World as a whole. With Odyssey and now Bowser's Fury out, I can look back and appreciate 3D World for what it is now. It may be on the simpler side gameplay-wise, but it is without a doubt super creative, unique, and freaking weird. I more see this package game as having a single player with Bowser's Fury and a multiplayer with the base 3D World. And viewing it like that, I really think this is one of the most complete Mario packages of all time, even above Galaxy on some days. But not quite first, because that game, well, that game's for another day. But those are my thoughts on this weird cat-filled game. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go watch the Mario movie, where I'm sure there's not gonna be any weird cat stuff going on.
Now.
Ah, the Mario movie. What a novel idea it was to have the plumber on the big screen. It was then promptly followed by 6 sequels, a Luigi's Mansion spin-off, Donkey Kong mockumentary, Peach series, and a critically acclaimed 3-part drama, The Toad Father. Now, I was a fan of all of them. The Peach one got a bit preachy, but I kinda wish that they focused on quality over quantity. Makes you think. Where's the next game at?
As each new Mario game is released, I've always asked myself, will this be the one? Will this be that perfect Mario game I know is possible? The one with the best movement, most realized ideas and mechanics, least amount of blue coins. And when Super Mario Odyssey released in 2017, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely nothing. See, I wasn't in on the hype back when this game came out. I mean, come on, it was 2017. A new Super Mario game? I was too cool for that. It would take a freaking worldwide catastrophe to get me to play these games again. So a few years ago when I had decided to give Odyssey a spin, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. For me, I was just catching up on the latest Mario game, blissfully unaware of the experience I was about to have. So it was yet just another day when I had brought Odyssey home, booted up my Switch, popped in the game, and...
This looks fun.
You see, Mario Odyssey is for me defined by 5 simple words. Really, 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 really good. But in other words, the best way I can describe this game is that sure, this is the normal Mario song and dance, but with style. It's got the things that give it that Mario feel. I'm looking at you, marital problems. But you can tell that they rethought the entire formula here. The gameplay? Overhauled. The movement? Perfected. The series' most iconic yet scrutinized in-game item thought long outdated? I use them to be naked now. To be honest, I don't even know where to start with Mario Odyssey. But thank God there's a button for that. The second the game begins, it gets to the good stuff, jumping us straight into the action. Welcome to the Nintendo Switch, baby, where we skip the boring intros and exposition. Just pick up the console at any moment and get that dopamine pumped straight into your brain. and other vascular regions. This is the first time a Mario game has skipped some sort of intro and jumped you straight to the part where Bowser tries to murder you. But it's a clever tool that conveys that this game is different. Bowser's got an ace up his sleeve called Wicked Style. Bowser's raw sexual energy boots Mario off the ship, and Peach lets out the same exact voice clip we've heard for the last 20 years.
Mario?
This is intense! And as Mario's hat is shredded into smithereens, he barrels down to the ground, with Peach and her now sentient tiara in need of saving. Okay, so Odyssey cuts down on the beginning to keep them dopamine addicts happy. So what? Well, this is the point where the game throws a little curveball at you called depression. Welcome to a monochromatic town full of hat people. There are no chirping birds or Koopas walking around. This is a completely new, creative, and somber beginning area. And with Mario's mutilated hat on the ground, Cappy is basically carrying around what amounts to them as a corpse. Sure beats false imprisonment. Now, it's not downright haunting or anything. This isn't a Mario character study where we find out he has PTSD and a drinking problem, but the tone this first level sets is very intentional. See, at this point in a Mario game, you'd be starting off in a familiar first level with green grass and vibrant colors before getting into the weirdness. Shoot, even Sunshine pretends to be normal at first. But Odyssey plays its cards differently. New beginning, new starting area, new characters. I don't see any blue coins yet. And once you get a hold of the chubby plumber and move around, you get to feel just how buttery smooth these controls really are. Oh my gosh! Now, throughout the franchise, they've continued to refine Mario's movement from game to game. When Mario 64 came out, it laid down the very foundations of 3D movement and opened the door for improvement. Sunshine, Galaxy smoothed everything out, making moves flow better together. And Odyssey? Well, hot dang. I don't think our favorite voluptuous plumber could handle any better. Now, going from one 3D Mario game to the next has always been quite the jump, but with the explosive amount of changes already 5 minutes into this game, I cannot imagine the whiplash diehard fans of 3D World must have had going from that game to Odyssey. Oh man, I sure did enjoy playing Super Mario 3D World on my favorite console, the Wii U. I can't wait to see how they expand on this formula in the next game. Where is she? And once you're finally adjusted to the muted colors, frowny Mario, death and destruction, bam! The Cascade Kingdom. It's your vibrant grassy level with pizzazz. A sprawling waterfall, enormous, totally dead fossils. Moving on. I personally see the Cascade Kingdom as the first official level in Mario Odyssey. It's a wide open sandbox where you get to run around, explore, and get used to Cappy's move combinations. It's got awesome captures, awesomer captures, and shows you what to expect from the game going forward. Airtight platforming, creative level design, boob physics, and everything refreshing and new about the Cascade Kingdom applies to the other kingdoms as well. Everything feels familiar, but with a unique twist. The Sand Kingdom is what most people expect to be the second world, but is actually a frozen over Mesoamerican-inspired village. There are no typical sand baddies like wigglers or these sleep paralysis demons, but rather rideable lions and rock statues with shades? Right on. The Wooded Kingdom. Just a backdrop of woods, right? Wrong. A weird futuristic rundown factory setting inside a giant dome. Drop down to the depths and it's just your regular woods. With freaking dinosaurs! The Snow Kingdom got me good. I thought I finally caught the game returning to basics, with it being just a normal snow setting. Oh no, a blizzard, what a twist. What am I gonna find down this hole, huh? Penguins wearing Eskimo costumes, what is that? And these aren't all just familiar ideas with a twist either. There's a soda-filled seaside kingdom. Lunch Kingdom, epic dragon Dark Souls boss fight that seriously had me questioning what game I was playing. Ruin Kingdom. Wait, did you say Lunch Kingdom? These kingdoms are such clever innovations from the norm, I wonder how they even thought of these.
Alright, listen up people. Kingdom ideas for the next big 3D Mario. Nintendo said if we bomb like the Wii U, we're donezo. So what are our ideas? Our jobs are on the line. How about a cat-themed kingdom? We tried that already. All we got was low sales and weird fan art. Dang it. What about you? How about a sand-themed kingdom? Dang it, people! Every freaking Mario game is a sand level. We need something with style, with pizzazz, with zing. Who's this clown?
But think my favorite kingdom has to be New Donk City. It's everything great about Odyssey wrapped into one amazing level. A wide open city with cars driving and realistically sized humans walking around. Don't think about it. It's such a perfectly designed, densely packed level with secrets and challenges around every corner. A difficult platforming challenge, a creative time trial, harassment. Add on to that an interconnected subplot where you have to travel to the sewers, fix a really confusing electrical grid, tour the city to find musicians and make a band, all while it culminates into my favorite segment from the entire game, the New Donk City Celebration. By 100%er standards, this segment of the game is merely an unskippable charade masquerading as nostalgia filler. For me, it's really cool. If the other 8-bit sections were just charming little nostalgia nuggets that properly pace the game, this is crack. I'm 8-bit Mario, celebrating the franchise's history, collecting coins while everyone's cheering me on with a catchy tune playing. I mean, come on. Who can hate on these moves? Slap onto that a boppin' soundtrack for every kingdom, and you, my friend, got yourself the MeMelon level design seal of approval. But what good are fantastic, creative, awe-inspiring levels with amazing vistas and terrific music worth without good gameplay? A lot, you'd be surprised, but lucky for us, Mario Odyssey's gameplay is packing. The introduction of Cappy turns Mario's moveset from already great to come on now, you're making me blush. Sure, there's the absurd amount of hat throws and jump combos, but I think the biggest addition Cappy brings to the 3D Mario gimmick table from the older games is the table. Blood cleans goop and corrects jumps, Cappy cleans goop, gives you a second jump, and oh yeah, you don't have to do any water squirting minigames that take 5 minutes where it doesn't freaking register correctly. Come on! Galaxy spin jump hurts enemies, corrected movement even better, and looks stylish while doing it. Cappy lets you correct movement, second jump in any direction you want, and is also registered as a concealed carry because dang! And that's not even mentioning Cappy's actual main ability, which is, oh yeah, stealing the vessels of other living creatures and piloting their bodies without their consent. That's right, not only does Cappy add a whole new dimension to Mario's moveset, but you can now capture dudes and use their abilities. Can't jump high? Use a frog. Forgot how to swim? Control a Cheep Cheep. Meat? Meat! This capture ability not only spices the already exquisitely spicy gameplay, but breaks up the action with some interesting captures and adds near infinite possibilities to get moons. Wait, am I reading this right? Moons? In my Super Mario game? That's almost as bad as not using NordVPN to spawn. I'm sorry about that. Whereas every other game, the main collectibles are oh so special that it has to slap you out of the level for absolutely no reason. In Odyssey, gone is that boot out system. Levels are bigger and challenges are smaller. Now instead of doing grand missions with stars taking a few minutes each, you now do a load of micro challenges to rack up moons to progress to the next kingdom. Well, micro is a bit of a severe understatement. Sure, you still get moons for doing the main story missions, and those certainly feel like classic Mario challenges. But if I had to sum up how substantial moons feel into one word, it would be super freaking inconsistent. You might spend 5 grueling minutes trying to get to 100 while playing volleyball. Frame perfect executions. Each button press, a risk. Mess up and start it all over again. Getting flashbacks. And after an embarrassing amount of time, after trials, tribulations, ups, downs, financial crises of 2008, you finally reach it. And there it is, your hard-earned Power Moon. And then you go kick a random rock and get another one. Yeah, ground pound a hill, moon. Break a random box, moon. Do absolutely nothing other than use my eyes because, oh look, it's just sitting there in the open, moon. Where the actual challenge and effort each moon demands of you will differ greatly, I still dig it. I feel like Odyssey strikes a perfect balance of classic Mario mission moons, quick challenge and puzzle moons, and whatever this is. For the intended experience, these quick and easy moons are very appreciated, and are great rewards for exploration or going off the beaten path. But shoot, if you're one of those 100%ers, I would not blame you for making a 2-hour and 1-second long critique of the game for the aneurysm-inducing amount of filler moons there are. Yes, I finally jumped rope 100 times! I'm gonna die one day. But for us normal humans with only a slight amount of mental illness, I judge this game based off what it takes to beat it. And viewing moons as fun little rewards that get you one step closer towards that goal, make exploring or sitting on a bench next to this guy not lazy or grindy, but creative and charming. See, this game does just about my favorite thing a game can do. rewards you for being a curious little bee. Nothing feels better than noticing a gap in a level, going to explore, and getting a moon for it. But occasionally, you'll find an extra hidey hole or ledge that isn't challenging enough to be a moon, but for purple coins. Don't worry, these things aren't like sunshine. They're not blue. They also don't trick you into collecting them all game, only to turn out to be a whole lot of nothing. But what do you use purple coins for exactly? Why, to make pedestrians uncomfortable, of course. Run into a purple coin shop found in each kingdom and suit Mario out with some style. You can turn him into a chef, a sophisticated businessman. Questioning? But that's not all. Right down the road is another shop that uses fake gasp. Regular coins? That's right, there are no more lives. If you die once, the game shuts off, your Switch explodes, and Mario comes knocking to finish the job himself. The decision to ditch lives and tie coins to cosmetics makes it that much more pearl clutching when you die and you see that coin counter tick down ever so slightly. And although it may not seem like losing a lot, if you're like me, spending an unholy amount of time trying to reach out of bounds spots or skip parts of the game, you'll be seeing this screen again, and again, and again, and again. But lucky for us, there's a lot of coins to go around. And not just on the intended path. Take this underground cave right before a boss fight. What should be a basic area with not much detail that's meant to shove you forward to the boss had a bunch of pillars surrounding the path. Pillars I had to reach. And it turns out, once you land a well-timed triple jump into a hat throw dive, there's some coins waiting for you on the pillars. But that wasn't enough. I noticed the structure I came through on the way here had a tiny little ledge protruding from the middle. So after many failed attempts, I successfully got on the ledge. Backward long jump to the top, and after a ground pound jump into a wall jump, throw, cappy, and dive onto the top of the structure, I got to the top. And I was treated like royalty. This game showers you with coins for exploring off the beaten path, and I couldn't be happier. And although saying the base game is easy is just about the biggest understatement of the year, self-made expert platforming challenges like these that reward mastery of quite difficult gameplay elements are what elevate this game above all the others for me. Add on to that coins actually matter now and get me cosmetics like this, I mean come on, it's a snowball of praise here. Great gameplay with great level design with great rewards for mastering that gameplay, which rewards you with cosmetics, not making Odyssey 2 as a crime. With all these franchise upending changes and by far most amount of callbacks in this game, Odyssey feels like the culmination of all the Mario games together. The collectathon type progression from 64, the perfectly crafted levels of 3D World, the beautiful visuals, and great music from Galaxy. Sunshine's a game too. Everything here feels Mario while adding its own spin, its own hat spin. And nothing better exemplifies this than the game's ending. Now 3D World also did a little expectation twisting with its last world not being a basic and bland lava level, but with a game full of basic and by the books, yeah, that's gonna be a shock. But Odyssey takes us to a whole new level. Expected a lava level as the last kingdom? Think again, Bowser's been catching up on his manga. Welcome to the Weeb Koopa Kingdom. Man, what a twist! I sure am excited for the final boss fight and what's obviously the final level. Twist, we're on the freaking moon! Oh, is that not good enough for you? Here's your freaking lava level, a last level culminating all your captures and gameplay mechanics into one final platforming gauntlet? Sunshine is jealous. And after Mario crashes a freaking wedding and fights Bowser, you think the game is about to be over. But psych, you're gonna break your neck with all this twisting. The place is coming down, and the only way out is through... The final capture is freaking Bowser. Now when you capture Bowser and teleport into him, I was waiting for some traumatic memories that make us understand him and relate to him as a character. But I'll survive. And we finally get a hold of him. Now, did you know that some people think this part jumped the shark? But did you know that I don't care? This ending is so freaking good. Dude, I'm Bowser and I'm going, ah, rah, rah. And then I jump, and when you do the triple jump, you go, aha. And then you go in the pipe, and you're 2D Bowser from the original games, and you spit fire like, ah. And you hit these rocks and get wired out after saving everyone. But it doesn't end there. Mario goes in for the smooch, right? But Bowser's like, no, Big B. But Mario's like, no, Big B. And get this, each straight girl bosses both of them out, picking no one. And they're both so sad. But then she's like, come on, guys, let's go home. And they start running, and the music kicks in, and then it goes... Game's good. Mario Odyssey is a gem. I mainly attribute my love of the Galaxy games not only to the great vibes and creativity, but because I did grow up with them. And although now that I'm older, I can further appreciate aspects from those games like the great music and the story, nostalgia plays a huge part in my love for those games. But Odyssey? Shoot. I didn't play this game until recently when I look like this. I might as well have been playing this while filing my taxes. See, despite my inability to grow facial hair, I am an adult. My tastes in games have changed. I appreciate the games I grew up with and will always cherish them. But it's very rare that a game brings back that childlike feeling of just fun. But Mario Odyssey is one of those games. I may not have grown up with the 8-bit games or have too much nostalgia for the 64 throwbacks, but this entire game feels like the culmination of all the hard work, all the creativity from the people who make and love Mario. It's a celebration of what gaming as a whole can do and make you feel. If I had to choose a singular game that best illustrated Mario, it would be Sunshine. I'm sorry. So despite me being older and having different tastes in games now, Mario Odyssey transcends that barrier, and I can happily say that this is not only one of my favorite Mario games, but one of my favorite games of all time.
There's also boob physics, I mean, come on. And there we have it. Every 3D Mario game reviewed. Shoot, that felt like 3 years and change. And yet, we're no closer to the next game. I need a minute. Got any sevens? Go fish.
It's been 3 years. A journey is ending. One I didn't even know I had started. A game series I grew up with. I've spent so long waiting for the next one. I never appreciated what I had. So focused on the future, I barely recognized the present. But that changes now. From now on, I will be grateful.
Thank you so much for playing my game.